The introductory talk today is Eva. Eva started seriously practicing Zen in 2023, taking the 5 precepts in 2024. Her role as at PZC is to help with marketing and social media, but you can most reliably find her watering the plants and coming up with too many ideas. Eva grew up in Poland but spent most of her adult life in Boston before moving to Rhode Island in 2023. She works as a user experience consultant, helping make technologies easier for people to use, and also serves as program chair and faculty at Brandeis University using Centered Design Program. In her spare time, she enjoys hiking with her dog, travel, photography, and creative writing. And so she's going to do the introductory talk, and answering questions today is Zen Master Seong. She is the school Zen Master of the Quantum School of Zen here in the Americas. She received the Dharma transmission from Zen Master Seong in October 10, 1992. She is one of Zen Master Seong's first American students and studied with him beginning in 1972. She was given Inker in 1977. Inker is permission to teach Konghans, and then registered nurse since 1969, and she is currently retired in hospice care. Oh, she was given by Zen Master Seong the transmission in 1992, and it should be the other way around. So, right. So Inker is a permission to teach Konghans, and transmission is she can actually, if she wanted to, start another school, or she can also give other teachers Inker. That's as a Zen master. She helped found the Providence Zen Center and lived here for 17 years, serving as in a number of administrative capacities. Zen Master Seong has a daughter and lives with her partner, Mary, in California. So as you all know, I think there's a lot of people, so we should have a lot of good questions, and I hope that appears. So thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So I had the idea for this talk actually last week when someone asked the question of Bobby's and Master Seong. But then this morning I had an idea to kind of combine it with something else and use visual aids, so we'll see how that goes. So here at the Zen Center, we're always cleaning stuff out, and I'm always finding stuff. And a few weeks ago, I found all these beads. There must be thousands of beads, in the basement, in the storage, etc. And I happen to have some, bead necklaces and bracelets at home, and I have my little meditation area, and I have this little mala bead bracelet. And I'm also really, really bad at bows, so I'm always intending to do bows, but I never, I don't know how many I do. It's kind of a pitiful amount. So I keep thinking, well, how can I work up to 108? How can I do it just so hard? So I found all these beads, and I had this idea, and I thought, I'm gonna design this behavior intervention program for myself using mala beads, and then if it works, I will share it with everyone. So I said, okay, this is what I'll do. I'll basically take, I don't know how many this has, but I'll do I'll put 18 beads on a string, and I'll start every morning doing, if I can do 18 full bows, I'll do that. If I can only do some standing, I'll do it. But basically, every weekday, I will do it, and I won't skip any weekdays, even if I have to do just standing bows. And I started doing it, and it actually worked really well. I was actually surprised. I'm like, wow, this is actually easier than just kind of thinking I'm just gonna work up to 108. So my whole system was gonna be, once I feel comfortable doing whatever number is on here, I will add 9 more, and then even if it takes me a year, even if I'm only adding it every month, by the time the year is over, I will have 108. So it was working really well, and it kind of made me think about habits and karma. So in our school, sometimes people say, well, karma is like the habits or like patterns of behavior that we develop over time. And as I was doing this, it just made me think like, this is, a type of habit, a type of pattern that's kind of simple because you're just doing more of the same thing. And as you do more, it's basically self-reinforcing. So like even, this many, like if you get and you only have 5 left, you think like, well, I don't want to quit now. I just want to keep doing it. I want to finish. And then the more days you do it, then you have a streak going. And you're like, yeah, I don't want to break my streak, so I'll just do it. So soon enough, you have a habit. And this is most of our habits are not bad. And we really couldn't get through the day without habits. So I was thinking about, what kinds of habits do we, actually have? So we have these kinds of simple habits where you just want to kind of repeat stuff over time. We have habits that are kind of like, let's say, our morning routine. It's kind of like this, except the beads are different. Where like, okay, you get up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you have breakfast, etc. And those types of habits are also kind of very persistent the more we do them. But the interesting thing about those habits is that you can actually kind of, let's say you have, different beads on here, you can like swap out a habit. So let's say you spend like 30 minutes browsing on your phone every morning. You can say, well, actually, on this, in this routine, I'm going to swap that out and I'm going to read a book instead. And like having that pattern already established allows you to kind of sneak in something else and substitute it. And to kind of bring this back to Zen, so talking about the kind of karma. So over our lifetime, we get so many beads. Like life is constantly throwing stuff at us, and we pick some of them. We pick up some of them. We don't, and they get in our brains, they get strung up into these patterns of behavior, into these habits. Some of them are like, let's say an addiction, something that's a very, very quickly established habit that is also very, very difficult to break. And it's kind of, the basis of it is the same principle. It's just something that you're doing over and over that is very, very rewarding very quickly. So then how do you, if you want to break a habit, you really have to look at how you establish that pattern. And you have to kind of keep in mind the fact that it's not something where, like the habit of, having breakfast at the same time is very different from something where you have just this very, very emotionally charged bond between the beads of your habit. So then the other thing that it made me think of, last week, someone asked a question about, I think he said that he was traveling with friends, and they were going to the airport, and the friends were just always like keeping him late, and he was upset because they just didn't want to change. And the answer is basically kind of look at yourself and like do what you want to do. And to take this metaphor a little further, so like we have our own bracelets and necklaces of our habits, but when we interact with other people, we kind of start making chains between us, where like we bring our habits and our patterns of behavior, and they bring theirs. And often we find it a lot easier to look at them and be like, oh, they're doing the wrong thing. Like, I don't like, how they're behaving. But it's really the interaction between the two that makes your relationship. And I think the thing, for me about Zen is that when you sit, all of these habits, all of that karma, like things will just pop up. Whatever, your ugly beads and your good beads and whatever it is, they'll just come up and you just have to look at it. And it's only when you look at it that you can make a decision about like, well, like, what the hell is this? I never knew that this was actually sitting there and affecting my behavior. And then, you can decide, like, is this something that I actually want to keep doing? Is this something where I'm like, okay, well, this relationship, this is just a bunch of plastic beads. I don't really want this. Or maybe, you have a relationship and like you're bringing diamonds and that person is bringing, wood beads. And you're trying really hard. But you've seen all along, like you've been seeing their beads. You're just pretending that it's good, but it's really not. Again, bring this back a little closer to Zen, that question about, this really simple, relationship and like pattern of behavior with your friends. It reminded me of something that I heard Zen Master Banyang Jane Davish say, I think it was a couple years ago, when I was going to Cambridge Zen. I don't think this was an answer to my question. I think someone else asked it. And she said, don't take on other people's karma. And at the time, I don't know if I was just divorced, or I was still going through a divorce. And when she said it, I was like, wow, I really feel called out. I feel like that describes my whole relationship with my ex-husband, like literally. I thought that was just like a very powerful statement. I think, like I said, the thing about Zen practice is that it really helps me stop and just have a perspective about my own behavior that, at times I have been kind of blind to. And it's only when you can look at your own behavior that you can actually, change, if you want to change your life in some way, that you can do it instead of always trying to say, okay, well, I want to change them. If only they behave differently, my life would be better. So I'll end there. Hope that was semi-coherent. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Nope.
thought that was a very helpful talk. It's one thing when you're just trying to understand your own patterns and habits, but it's a really good thing that you are trying. That's a lot of people don't try that. And you know, with this simple Zen practice, it's just, you, as Eva said, you can't help but see it comes up. You're gazing at the ground and at the floor, and you could call it a habit. A bead comes up, and you need to own that. Like I was in therapy years ago, and she started teaching me that concept. You need to own that. That's you made that. And Zen would say, you made that. And so it's not bad, but so owning something is like, well, that's mine. And then you can either, as she said, you can either drop it or realize you'd like to drop it, or you can respect it and use that karma. But then if you have someone else come into your life, then it gets more complicated. Because you're also trying to hope they'll drop a few beads or whatever. And, that's not your business. You don't own that. That person owns that. And that's very hard to distinguish when you want this relationship to work. And you want harmony, you want affection, you want love, you want support, but really, ultimately, that's our responsibility, that support. We have to know how to support ourselves. And that self becomes, instead of I'll probably give the same talk I gave last week. It's like, well, we have we have this idea of self, but really what our true self is down below in our belly, like correct relationship, correct function, correct situation. We're noticing, we're paying attention. What is this? What's going on? What's my relationship to it? And how am I going to function in this situation? How do I move into this? Or what am I doing here? I can either walk out or you stay in. But if those three things are clear, then the self comes into below your belly button. It's very clear. It's not personal. And then there's nobody that has to own anything. You're just going to help that thing. You're going to feel altruistically, compassionately, like you don't want to cause harm. You want to add something, put out something that's positive. And that's such a beautiful natural process if we're actually owning it below our belly button and just, what is this? And I always thought like, if you walk into the wrong room or the wrong relationship, that's my fault. It's my fault. But it's not my fault. It's just like, what is this? And then what is this will always not say, oh, you shouldn't have done that. It wouldn't be those no shoulds. It would just be, you need to back out. Somebody will tell you, oh, your true self will say, oh, just back up. You don't need to. You went in the wrong door, It's not the thing you want to be with. And so you don't have to have a fight. You don't have to you just gracefully, whatever skillful means, back away from that. Either it's an event or a person, doesn't matter. What we can't back out of is our habit force. It was good to hear about that. You can't back out of that. You have to process it and then let go. Just let go. There's no responsibility there except to let go of it because it's not useful. So how do you have that wisdom? How do you have the wisdom to be able to do that? That takes lifetimes, really, lifetimes. Because we're born already with habits. These kids, these babies, they have habits already. Some of them smile all the time. Some of them hardly ever smile. It's not good or bad, but they came out as, there's nothing to smile about, You wouldn't love to go, well, where were you? Where were you before you were here? What is in that brain of yours? It's like 6 days old or something. It's like, what? Where'd you come from? Because it's present. It's present. It's not just a blob of 13 pounds of muscle and fat, and bone. It's like there's somebody in there. So, and you can see the different characters that come out of the womb. And so this is something that's why I talked about the babies is because you don't just have this, like for me, 77 years here, I got whatever I brought in with me too. It's like it's old, it's ancient. And thank God a lot of it was very useful for me, For me to be attracted to the Dharma was such a blessing. I mean, I feel, I was only like 22 and I'm attracted to Buddhism, particularly. I didn't go to college. I didn't know what Buddhism was. I had no idea until I started to try to read about it. And then I liked it. I was like, oh yeah, I like that. Oh, you don't have to avoid hell and try to get into heaven by believing in something. You don't have to do that. What do you have to do? You have to just know yourself. Know this moment. As the self becomes down below, it becomes here, the self. And then you know the moment, the correct relationship function situation. Very simple. It just takes work. It takes work. I was privileged, very privileged to be in Kilche for 2 weeks. We got out on Friday. And it was just great. For me, it was wonderful. And then we come down here and there's all these people show up, It's like loud, it's very loud, It's like, so thank goodness I have my own room, I was just going in and out of my room when I had to. It's you can't believe how quiet it is up in the monastery. It's so quiet. And you get used to that. You really get used to that. It's very... But the beauty of the quietness is that's when you get to see the beads. The beads show up. and then you get to learn about them and maybe let go of some of them in a really conscious way. Not a should. I should do that. That doesn't last, a should. But I need to do that. Down below your belly button again. Not I. But this needs to be dropped. And there's no criticism. There's no timetable. There's no... How did you get into that situation in the first place? It's none of that. It's only it needs to be dropped. And that is so intelligent. That's such a heightened intelligence to be able to reach that point where just drop it. It takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of faith, courage to do that. And so I implore you all to go to Kilche. Really, you can't believe how great it is up there. It's amazing. It's not easy, but it's amazing. So are there any questions?
Yes. How would you describe what a thought is, what knowing is, and what awareness is, and how are those things connected or different?
I wanted your attention. Come back over here. What is this?
A red cup.
Yeah, but if you call it a red cup, we'll say you're attached to form. What is it?
It's nothing that can be known.
If you say that, that's intellectual. You're missing the point. See, so right now you don't know, right?
Right.
What does she want me to do? Like, what? So that's neither thought, whatever those three things you said. It's none of those things. It's just what? So what is a very important word. So that was like one of our Zen kangas that we asked people. And it's like, you get to that point where what? And you're intellectually stuck. Then you'll truly see how it manifests without even a label, So that you asked me a thinking question, and you could read books about people's ideas about those things. But this means direct experience, so that you wouldn't separate. What were those three things that you said?
Thought, knowing, and awareness.
Right. Thought, knowing, and awareness become one.
it seems to me that thought and knowing is important on some level, because I might do things in my life that are immediate and impulsive and seem to be not knowing, and that might do damage to the world. And I might think to myself, well, my intention is to do good things, and so I feel fine having done it. But it seems that there's some thought and knowing that can guide you towards more skillful acts in life.
Right, and that's why I said you have to have that what. What is this? How is it just now? So you wouldn't be impulsive if you can think on your feet, but it's rather than it being impulsive, it could be intuitive. And it's going to come from below your belly button. It's going to come from kindness. It's going to come from some kind of wisdom rather than impulse.
Right. I think what I'm asking is, what's the phenomenon? How would you describe the phenomenon of thought happening in your mind? How can we know, to use a loaded word, how can we know that we're experiencing a thought or not experiencing a thought, or know that we're not knowing, know that we're knowing?
That's why you have to question. You have to question. It's very important.
Doesn't the questioning happening in thinking?
No thinking, just what? Because you're asking, how is it just now? What is my correct relationship, my function, my situation just now? And when you practice, when you're strong, you can do that on your feet. You can do it very, very quickly. It's not like, It's not up here. It's observing, smelling, tasting, touching, being. Real true being, because you walked in, you're here now. Wherever you did, take responsibility, whatever room you're in, whatever place you are, just take responsibility for it. Just stand your ground there and pay attention and ask what. I always think about, like, if you were the captain of a sailing vessel, maybe you have 35 crew, and it hits a rock and starts to sink, and you're the captain. You can't just jump in the water. That's not your job. You have to stay. The captain's supposed to leave last. So you've got to think about, is there somebody down in their bunk asleep? You've got to run down there. That's your job. Get everybody off the ship. And that's like knowing your job. So it's like you intuitively, you can grasp who isn't on deck, who is not here. And that can be done so quickly if you're clear, if you're doing your job. And that's just one example, but so many times you get these people, he'll be the first one to jump ship. That's not good, That's not a good thing. So what is your job? It's down here, It's not a thought. It's knowing. It's signing up and digesting all of that. You used the word digest, didn't you?
I did not.
You did not, but
I love your book, though.
Yeah, it's not. Actually, my title of my book is composting, but a composter does digest. I mean, that's what it's doing. And so there's a lot of stuff that it takes time to digest it. It takes time to compost it. It's not going to break down easily, but that's what I liked about your talking about was the habit force. You don't even know it is a habit at first. You just self-identify with it. That's all. That's normal. That person's not normal. I'm normal, Well, then, no, you've got to, what is it? What is it? So you can sit down now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, I have a question. To stay with the bead metaphor, how do I deal with beads that are put on my necklace outside of my control?
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
How do I deal with beads that are put on my bracelet that are not in my control?
You put them there.
No,
Yes, you did. Ultimately, you did. That's what, own it. You have to own your set of beads.
I don't want to get into politics, but I don't own things that are happening outside.
There is no inside outside. Ultimately, this is your family of, this is, we have to own the human race, really. You know?
That's tough.
We have to. Yeah. It's sad, but true. Like, I didn't vote for him. Like, I can say that. Like, I have to go to Europe in a few weeks with this blue passport. And last time when Bush won, I was in Berlin. Why is he your president? I said, well, I didn't vote for him. It's like they were blaming me that Bush won for president. It was like, well, you're a bunch of jerks out there, you know. It's like, so it's even worse now. It's like, yeah, I know. I don't know if I'll get home. It's like, so but you have to own that's your president. That's our country. You know, we made that ultimately. You know, and you could get into all kinds of philosophical ways of explaining how we did, but you know, it's like, so if you don't need the bead, it was never yours in the first place, then take it off, as Eva said. That's not your bead. You know, but most of it is our beads. You know, but if you don't think you own it, then just let go of it. You know, are you talking about something like you're having a hard time with something? I mean, you don't have to be personal, but
I just don't know how, like aside from sitting, to let go.
Of what? Like a person or a situation or what?
Well, you know, I mean, I don't want to name names, but yeah, you hit it on the head. Like, I'm visiting my family in Europe, and like, they don't ask me, like, they know I didn't vote, but
I can't hear you.
They know I didn't vote for
Yeah.
him, but they're asking me, how is this possible? And I have no answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah. So that's good. That's your truth.
So I'll tell them, you need to own this. This is also, he is part of your doing.
I know. I have a few people I talk with regularly that live in Germany, and they're like, you know, we need America. We need America. I mean, they depended. There was like a bright light in their consciousness that there was democracy, and they were emulating, emulating America, and that they lost their idol. They were depending on that, you know. And it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. But, you know, we have to see. You know, we have the saying, a bad situation is a good situation. And it's like, because that's when we really wake up. We're like, well, how did this happen? Well, what is this? What can I do? And but if you just keep bringing it below your belly button, you can also, one of the paramitas in Buddhism is patience. And it doesn't mean you're being compliant. You don't care. But sometimes you want to kind of drill into it and find out how it happened and what can I do. But sometimes it's just not ready. You're not ripe. You're not ready to do that. It's just with personal things, national things, global things. It's just, what is this? Sometimes I feel like, how did I get born here? I didn't deserve this. It's like, really, I'll have that I, my, me type thing. Like, I don't want to live here. Like, not this country, but even on the planet with these human beings. It's like, it's very disappointing, you know. Really, though, I'm disappointed. It's like, come to the Zen Center. You know? Practice. All we can do is what we can do, you know. I'm sure all of you, probably almost everyone in this room has heard this story, but it's like the sparrow that she's in the forest and it breaks into a fire and you know, she can get out. She can go up above the heat and get away from the heat and survive. But all of her friends down there, all of her animal friends can't do what she just did. So, I mean, she's devastated that all these animals are burning. So goes to the closest source of water, fills her beak up with water, flies over, drops it, goes back, gets the water, does this maybe 100 times. I mean, that's probably a quarter of a cup of water. But in her, that's all she could hold, that's all she could do. And then eventually just, drops and dies of exhaustion or whatever, just can't go. She went to the last ounce of her ability to put out that fire. And so I love that story because, a quarter of a cup that's ridiculous. That's not to begin. It probably evaporated on the way down, by the way, so, but you don't think that way. You just do what you can do and keep dropping that water, keep dropping. So for when you take 5 precepts, you promised, the four vows, you're going to save everything, all beings. Infinite time, infinite space, until they're all saved. Then you'll quit. You won't have to have anything to quit. Everything will be bliss, But that's a big job. So you could think, oh, that's not possible. Why would I say that every morning? But if you just say, I'm going to do it, that's very important. It's very important. And that's dropping the beads. That's when you start to drop the habit force because you're too busy. You're too busy trying to put out fires, as well as you can. As well as you can. But we can't think, and that's why I do Kyolche, because you cannot think in terms it's very hard to break that idea of time, like this body's 77 years old. So maybe I have 15 more years. Maybe, who knows? My mother lived into her 90s, but I don't know, But that's like thinking, well, I only have 15 more years. I got to really keep going. Well, I like that mind that wants to keep going. It doesn't matter, but it's really not 15 years, we don't know. So you have the vow, you have the direction, you just charge it, keep charging it. And that's why some of these little babies that are born, one of them was Shakyamuni Buddha, One of them was Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Michelle Obama. These incredible people come into life, and they've been working. They've been doing some work already before they were born. And we don't know how that works. And that's what I would love to break that nut. I would love to have that intelligence where you can see beyond life and death. But I don't think anybody's done that, except you read the sutras and they talk about realms of existence, which is really fascinating. And now we're doing this, different kinds of mathematics and physics where they're beginning to see about parallel universes, and that's fascinating. Just mathematically actually seeing that there's something going on, we don't know what it is, and that's fascinating. So people are trying to break the nut, what actually is going on here? But ultimately, all we really need is our vow and our direction. We just need to want to be of service and drop the beads that we don't want to hold around our neck, or just learn how to drop them, and then you're going to be more and more of service to people. And by the way, the benefits, you feel more content. You feel satisfied. You feel, I have enough. And that's the best feeling in the world. That's the byproduct of being a bodhisattva, that you don't want. I wish I had that. That kind of goes away. That's so sweet. My teacher always said, yes, he knew when we first came to America, he knew very little English. Right away he learned, you like, I like, and he meant it. Do you want to have noodles or rice? You like, I like. He'd let you choose. I'll like it if it's noodles. I'll like it if it's rice, because you like it. He's happy because you're getting what you want. That's like a simple mind. But it takes some development to get to that place where, those preferences start to drop. And truly drop, not you're just trying to be good, but you truly don't have a preference because you trust the universe. You trust you'll get what you need. Another question? Yes.
In terms of turbulence, there is so much going on in the world, we were on this topic, and it reminded me that in technology also,
Can you talk
in
more into
in
the
technology also, there's like so much going on. There are new technical tools coming every day that are like just speeding up the automatic stuff. Like you can do things in a much more automated way. You need less and less people. So there are so many people losing jobs because of that. So there is like a when I talk about
What's the last thing you said? They're losing jobs, or
like
because of
because
technology,
of these technologies, or probably not because, but like these things are happening in parallel. So, like as a technologist, as someone who works in technology, I mean, I understand, some of these new technologies that are coming up. But when I talk to other people about these, I see a lot of fear. Like, let's say if I talk about AI, like just I sense a fear creep up in them, and it's like, no, we are not, like, it's gonna take over, etc., whatever. So, and I have a hard time explaining them or like calming that fear. So I don't know how do you work with it, and what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, thank you. Well, so many things are scary, aren't they? So many things, not just losing your job, like losing your life. So it's like anything else, it's like this big, you feel it, like, oh, that I feel fear around this. So what we teach in Zen is like, and this is also, I use this technique, I teach this a lot in retreats, but I learned it from a Tibetan practice of Tan Lin, which is you take, like, you feel this fear about maybe job loss. And so you let it be like 45 degrees, you let it just be, you're sitting, you're meditating, you just have it there, own it. It's like your bead, it's your bead, and you look at that bead, you own it. And then you breathe it into your belly, below your belly button. And you know exactly how it feels, how much it weighs. It's yours. You made it. You made that. That's yours. And so you bring it in, breathe it all the way up to the top of your head, and then breathe out, don't know. Just don't know. And don't know is only really not knowing, just being with it. But you're breathing it out, putting it back on the floor, and bring it back in again. And like maybe 3 times, just own that whole fear of losing your livelihood. And then the last time you breathe it, the 4th time you breathe it in and just leave it in your belly. Just leave it there and just give it the message, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to keep you warm. I'm just going to keep you warm. And your fear will just drop a lot, because you're just going to be there and you're just going to, wow, I don't want to lose my job, but then you're not so much afraid anymore. You're being actually more intuitive about it. Like every time you don't know, there's some intuition that'll appear. And like, you're not the only one, or I'll deal with this. Something will come that genuinely coming from in your gut, that the fear will go way down, and then you can really try to deal with what you have to deal with. And you won't be alone, right? People will not be alone in all of this. And we talked about that. Somebody gave a Dharma talk yesterday, or somewhere I heard this yesterday about we need to, who was it? Was it Jose? Oh, I think it was Ken Kessel. Ken Kessel just said, just look over here. He said, just look. Intimacy. Danielle will help me. Jesse will help me. I know Hyang will help me. I know these people. I know them. I trust them. And so we don't have to be fearful. We just have to, really depend on each other in a healthy way, a very healthy way. That's what we have to do. And you just think about, what have other people been through the decades, the generations? Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. Even in this new country of the United States, they'd be out there in the prairie, and all of a sudden it wouldn't rain for 3 years, and they'd starve. They didn't have means to go somewhere where there was water. They didn't have the wheels. They didn't have. I mean, this happened to countless people. Just starving to death. So, and that happens all over the world. So it's not saying, well, at least that's not happening. No, just take it in that it's all happening, and fear is not going to help. Fear is not going to help. So you can by really owning and digesting and keeping it in there, you can start to find skillful means to do the best you can, right? Yeah. Any other questions? Gary knows all about AI. He gave a talk last week. He was sitting next to me last week. Yeah.
Well, to continue with Gary's odd theme, I've been sitting there for like the last 10 minutes trying to think of a question. I really wanted to ask a question, but in reality, I just wanted to say hi to Nancy on Zoom and tell her that we miss you this weekend, and I don't have a question. I wish I did, but I just definitely wanted to say hi to Nancy.
Gary, you're always funny.
That's okay. It's about that time.
Hi, Nancy. We should say hi to all those people. Yeah. So no more. Yes, it's time. Okay. Good.
Would you like to have some last words?
I said too much already.
So then, thank you for your talks. They were very nice talks today. And so we're going to have the art club on April 27th, Sunday. And that's a new thing. In the last art club we had a bunch of people join with different kinds of arts. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. If you have something that you like to do, just bring it in and do it with the group. And you can kind of discuss it and that sort of thing. May 3rd and 4th, Saturday and Sunday, I will lead a 2-day retreat, a 2-day YMJJ. It's good for beginners to do. You can do one day or you can do both days. Join us for dinner and practice on Wednesday night, starting at 5:30. That's something we do every Wednesday, and then we have orientation, we have chanting. We don't do chanting on Sunday, so you kind of miss that. So maybe you want to come in on Wednesday and have try chanting with us. Westside Zen is on Thursday nights, offered in person in Providence and on Zoom. So you can go on Zoom and also find a place with the address of it in Providence. And on our website, providencezen.org, and if you want to go in person, you can do that too. We have been coming, if you've been coming for a while, consider becoming a member and making a donation, and close to half of our operating costs are done by donations. Today, the gift shop will be open, and Zen Master Seong will be signing her book, that Composting Your Karma. And that's going to happen right after this. Here, yes. I plan on buying a book and having it signed myself. So thank you for appearing, and I hope to see you next week or in the following weeks. Thank you.